Beloved child, there are mornings when I do not merely cause the sun to rise above the horizon, but also let my light touch the hidden places within your soul, the places you once thought would remain forever covered by silence, weariness, and disappointment. When the night withdraws, what you see is not only the beginning of a new day, but my mercy returning to you in a gentle form. For my word declares in Lamentations 3:7-23 that the steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end, and they are new every morning. Do you see? I do not allow the dawn to come only to brighten the sky, but to remind your soul that I am still writing, still healing, still calling your name with unchanging love. What you thought had fallen asleep in the ashes, I can bring back to life with a single breath the hopes you once buried because of pain. I can awaken with one small ray of light, and when that light comes, it does not ask how long the darkness has remained. It simply enters, and the darkness must retreat, for the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. As John Ainsworth has written, therefore, do not regard the morning as something ordinary, my child, in the spiritual realm. Every time the light breaks forth, it is a quiet yet powerful declaration that the night has no right to rule over your life forever. There were seasons when you wept in silence, thinking no one heard the cry of your heart, but I heard every sigh, every prayer that had not yet become words, every pain you hid behind an outward appearance of peace. 5 reminds you that weeping may endure for the night, but joy comes in the morning, not because you are strong enough on your own to overcome, but because I am faithful to carry you through the darkest hours. When my light touches you, it does not merely bring a pleasant feeling, but also loosens the invisible chains that have bound your heart in fear, shame, and delay. There are doors I open that do not thunder loudly, yet your soul will know there are freedoms no one sees immediately. Yet, from within, you begin to rise differently, breathe more deeply, believe more firmly, and walk as one who has been called out of darkness into my marvelous light. Remember Gideon, the man who once hid in fear, believing himself small and unable to face the enemy. I did not come to Gideon by calling him weak. I called him a mighty man of valor, because I saw in him what he had not yet seen in himself. And on that night, when 300 men held trumpets, clay jars, and burning torches, I used what seemed fragile to shake a vast army. When the trumpet sounded and the jars were broken, the light hidden inside blazed forth in the darkness, causing the enemy to panic and flee. Do you see? Many times I do the same in your life. I allow the old outer layers to crack open, so that the light I have placed within you may be revealed. I let my calling resound in the very moment when you think you are weakest, so that you may understand that victory does not come from numbers, outward strength, or your own certainty, but from my presence going with you. For Zechariah 4:6 declares, not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit. Perhaps in this past season, you have looked at your life as though it were a land still covered in heavy fog, where every path seemed unclear and every promise appeared distant. But I want you to understand that fog cannot prevent the sun from rising, just as delay cannot nullify what I have ordained. When I bring forth a new season, I often begin by awakening within you the ability to discern. You will start to hear gentle promptings within your spirit. Feel yourself being drawn away from old things and realize that you no longer belong to the habits that once drained your soul. Romans 13:12 says that the night is far spent, and the day is at hand. Therefore, cast off the works of darkness, and put on the armor of light. Those words are not merely a call to leave behind evil, but an invitation to step into a new identity. You were not created to live forever beneath the shadow of yesterday. I did not form you merely to survive through old wounds. I am calling you to come forth, not hastily, but decisively. Not arrogantly, but with faith. Like one who knows that their Father has already gone ahead to prepare the way. And when you hear within your heart a holy stirring, do not dismiss it, my beloved. It may be the very trumpet I have placed within your soul. Not loud enough for the world to notice, yet powerful enough to awaken what I planted long ago. That sound will call you to pray more deeply, to love more purely, to release burdens that no longer belong to you, and to trust that I am still at work, even when your eyes cannot yet see the fullness of it. In the book of Revelation, trumpets often signal great movements within heaven's plan and in your life. I also have moments when I announce a changing season by awakening your spirit. Do not fear when old things begin to close. Do not tremble when I lead you out of familiar places. The dawn does not ask permission from the darkness before it arrives. Neither does my grace require the approval of fear before beginning a new work within you. So today, let your heart open like the earth receiving the first light of morning. Allow me to touch the dreams that have grown cold, the prayers you stopped mentioning, the parts of your soul you believed were too late to be restored. I am not merely giving you another day, I am giving you a sign that your story is not finished. What I begin, I have the authority to complete. What I promise, I have the power to establish. Walk in humility, but do not walk as one who has been forgotten. Lift up your head, yet never forget that I am the source of your light, for when I send forth light, darkness must retreat. When I breathe life, what is dry must awaken and be transformed. And when I call you into a new morning, no power from the old night can hold you back forever, because you belong to me, and I am the one who makes all things new. Beloved child, when you look around and see familiar structures trembling, old values being questioned, the voices of this age growing louder, and the hearts of people seeming lost and directionless, do not quickly conclude that everything is falling apart. What your eyes call disorder in my hands may be a divine rearrangement. What your ears hear as harsh and conflicting sounds before my throne may be notes being brought back into their proper harmony. Humanity often measures life by speed, achievement, profit, and recognition. They believe that the faster they run, the closer they are to meaning, and the more they possess, the safer they become. But my rhythm is not governed by the pressures of the world. I do not work according to human haste, nor do I build through fear. I move through everlasting wisdom, enduring mercy, and quiet grace that cannot be stopped. For Ecclesiastes 3:11 declares that I make everything beautiful in its time. There are things you do not yet understand today, but in my season, they will reveal a beauty far greater than anything you once imagined. Do not let the shifting movements of the world steal the peace within your soul. I did not call you to stand in this age, trembling like a leaf before the wind, but to learn how to anchor your heart in the one who never changes. When many become fearful because the foundations they once trusted are being shaken, remember the words of Psalm 46:10. Be still and know that I am God. That stillness is not passivity, nor is it ignoring reality. It is a spiritual strength that knows how to pause in the midst of noise in order to hear my voice more deeply. You may see systems changing, habits being broken, and old ways of living no longer able to sustain the human soul. But I see hardened ground being plowed so that new seeds may take root. I am not merely repairing what is outward. I am reaching into the deepest roots of the human heart, where pride, control, and spiritual slumber have quietly built walls separating people from me. There are times when you want me to lay the entire road before you, when you want to know what will happen, when everything will become stable, and when the promise will finally take shape. But my child, if every turn were already revealed before your eyes, your faith would never be refined through holy dependence. I do not conceal things because I desire your suffering. I lead you step by step because I want you to learn to walk closely with me. The light I give is not always like a blazing sun, illuminating the entire horizon. Often, it is only a lamp sufficient for the next step, just as Psalm 119:7 says that my word is a lamp unto your feet and a light unto your path. Faith is not a key used to force heaven to open according to your own desires. It is the breath that allows you to move in harmony with my will. Faith does not turn me into a servant of your plans. It transforms you so that you may walk within my plans with trust, even when you cannot yet see the whole picture. Remember Nehemiah, beloved child. When he heard that the walls of Jerusalem were broken down and its gates had been burned with fire, he did not surrender to anger, nor did he allow sorrow to become despair. He sat down, wept, fasted, and prayed before me. Then, when the appointed time arrived, I opened the way for him to return and rebuild what had fallen. Yet, the work did not unfold in peaceful ease. There was mockery. There were threats. There were those who sought to distract him. And there were wary hands among the ruins of broken stones. Still, Nehemiah instructed the people to build and stand guard at the same time, their hands working while their hearts remained turned toward me. And the wall was completed not merely because of human skill, but because I placed perseverance within those who refused to let destruction have the final word. That story is also a reminder for you today. When I restore a generation, I often begin in the midst of what appears lost, and then I use the very place of ruin as the foundation for new rebuilding. Therefore, do not fear when I begin dismantling old patterns in your life and within humanity itself. Some things have existed for a long time, but that does not mean they are holy. Some voices are heard by many, but that does not mean they come from truth. Some paths are familiar, but that does not mean they lead to life. I am calling you out of a rhythm controlled by comparison, competition, pride, and the fear of never being enough. I desire for you to enter a different rhythm, the rhythm of prayer, of watchfulness, of love, of service, of waiting without despair. Romans 12:2 reminds you not to conform to this world, but to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. That renewal does not begin with the applause of crowds, but with a soul willing to let me reshape its desires, heal its distortions, and teach it to hear my voice more clearly than the voice of the world. Then you will see that true awakening does not always arrive as a thunderous event that everyone immediately recognizes. Often, it begins very quietly. One person choosing no longer to compromise with darkness. One family returning to prayer. One heart learning to forgive. One weary soul suddenly longing for holiness more than recognition. I do not need to use brute force to transform humanity, for my power can begin through things that are small, yet pure, like the mustard seed that grows into a tree, like the little leaven that causes the whole batch of dough to rise. My grace enters the places people believed had long become dry, and quietly brings forth life again. Isaiah 43:19 declares, "Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall you not know it?" Believe that the new work I am doing is not delayed by the chaos of this age. On the contrary, even in the midst of these upheavals, I am separating what is true from what is false, what is alive from what is dead, and what belongs to me from what merely carries the outward appearance of godliness. Therefore, my child, keep your heart pure and at peace. Do not allow the endless flood of news to turn your soul into a dwelling place for anxiety. Do not let uncertainty make you forget that I still sit upon the throne. Your faith today may seem small, but if you place it in me, it will become a root planted deeply in the soil of grace. Walk day by day, do what is right before me. Love those near you, guard your words, nurture gratitude, and let my presence become the hidden rhythm of your life. I am not only changing the things around you, I am renewing you yourself, so that you will not be swept away by this age, but instead become a light within it. And when you no longer chase after the hurried pace of the world, you will begin to hear the rhythm of heaven, yet certain, gentle, yet powerful, quiet, yet victorious. Beloved child, there are seasons when you think you have been placed in hidden places, but in truth, I am concealing you within my hand to prepare you for a life deeper than anything you have ever known. A seed lying beneath the soil cannot see the sun, cannot hear applause, and receives no praise for growing. It simply breaks open quietly in the darkness, surrounded by silence, and from the very place where it was buried, life begins pushing upward. Your life is the same. There are stages you call abandonment, but I call them being nurtured and preserved. There are days when you feel every door has closed, yet I am shutting out the noise outside, so you may hear the breath of my presence within. Unless a grain of wheat falls into the ground and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it bears much fruit, as John 20:24 declares. Please know that every seed you plant in this mission will grow into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. Giving to this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through hearts that are kind. This is what I say over you now. Each gift you give is like a stream of living water that flows into the life of someone who needs healing. Give, and it will be given to you is not just a verse for Jesus. It is a living promise that shapes your future. Allow me to invite you now with a simple act of faith. Come into this moment with purpose, with honesty, and with hope. The money you give today is not a donation. The act of spiritual obedience that lets your heavens open is what opens them. Let go of your seed and see what God brings back into your life. Do not fear the moments when the old shell within you begins to break apart, because I am not destroying you. I am releasing the life that has been restrained for far too long. When my light rises within your soul, the world around you may not immediately change, but your eyes will be healed to see everything with a new clarity. The person you once judged so quickly you will begin to see with mercy. The small things you once rushed past will become signs of grace. A gentle breeze, a cup of water arriving at the right moment, a sincere word of care, a peaceful breath after many heavy days. You will come to understand that miracles are not only seas parting or fire falling from heaven. Miracles are also when a hardened heart becomes soft again, when a soul that once knew only fear suddenly dares to hope, when someone who once lived in darkness begins bringing light to others. The eye is the lamp of the body, as Matthew 6:22 says, when the inside of you is filled with light, what you see around you will no longer be covered by the shadow of old wounds. I know you have walked through many long nights, nights that were not only dark outwardly, but dark within your heart as well. There were times when you prayed and heard only silence in return, times when you reached out for me and felt as though your hands touched nothing but emptiness. But my child, my silence is never my absence. Sometimes I do not speak loudly because I am working deeply. Sometimes I do not open the way immediately because I am rebuilding your feet, so that you will be able to walk firmly upon that path. Sometimes I allow every support you once clung to fall away, not so that you will be destroyed, but so that you may learn that the true foundation of your life is me alone. My word in Isaiah 41:10 declares, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God." Those words were not given only for easy days, but were placed into your hands like a lamp for the moments when you can no longer see a way out. Remember Joseph, beloved child, the one who was thrown into a pit by his own brothers, sold far away from his father's house, falsely accused, and locked inside a prison. To human eyes, his life looked like one loss piled upon another. Every step seemed to carry him farther away from the promise. Yet, even in that dark place, I was still arranging all things. The pit could not bury his calling. The prison could not lock away grace. Human forgetfulness could not erase heaven's remembrance. At the appointed time, I brought Joseph from confinement to stand before the throne of a king, not only to save himself, but to save an entire people during famine. He himself declared that what others intended for evil, God intended for good, as Genesis 50:20 reminds you. Therefore, when you feel as though you have been brought low, know that in my hands, even the lowest place can become a stepping stone toward a higher purpose. I have seen every one of your tears. Not a single tear has fallen into emptiness. Not one sob has been carried away unnoticed by the wind. And not one trembling prayer has ever been dismissed by me. Some tears have watered the very faith you thought had dried up within you. Some pain has softened the soil of your heart, so that my word could take deeper root. There were times when you fell in weakness and rose again, holding only a fragment of hope. And I call that precious faith Psalm 56. It says that I keep track of your wanderings and place your tears in my bottle. Do you see what the world considers weakness? I may preserve as the testimony of a soul still reaching toward the light. Do not despise the seasons when all you could do was whisper my name, because at times that whisper itself became the thread connecting you to life. And the time will come when you realize that the night has no authority to write the final line of your story. The grave could not hold the living one, and because you belong to me, the things I have placed within you cannot remain buried forever either. I am the resurrection and the life, as John 11:25 declares. Those words were not spoken only for Lazarus outside the tomb. but also for the parts of you that have been covered by sorrow. I can call tenderness back into a heart that once became bitter. I can awaken joy where your song had fallen silent. I can cause courage to rise in the land that fear once occupied. When spiritual dawn arrives, it does not merely illuminate the road ahead of you. It awakens the sacred things within you that have long been asleep. Therefore, my child, step out of the old season with humility and gratitude. Do not carry the light as something meant to display yourself before others, but carry it as the fragrance of mercy. Let the weary encounter you, and remember that hope still exists. Let the wounded hear your words, and feel lifted up rather than condemned. Let your life become a quiet testimony that I still renew, still restore, and still bring life forth from places that seem to contain nothing but ashes. You were not awakened merely to survive each day. You were awakened to become a lamp, a flowing stream, a sign of resurrection in a world thirsting for light. And when you allow me to burn brightly within you, not only will your own soul come alive again, but the places you walk through will also begin to feel the warmth of heaven. Beloved child, the light I give you is not meant for you to stand still, admiring your life like a beautiful memory, but so that you may walk in the new life I have opened before you. When I illuminate a season, I do not merely brighten the sky. I make your path clearer, your heart braver, and your steps aligned with the rhythm of grace. Light is not an ornament for the soul, but a lamp leading you out of old ways, out of delay, out of the habit of merely watching what I do without daring to take part in it. I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life. As John 8:12 declares, therefore, do not only rejoice because the night has retreated. Let your feet respond to that light. Walk like one who has been called. Live like one who has been raised up. Bear witness through gentleness, faithfulness, and love that is not boastful, yet steadfast. Because what I give is not only to beautify your own life, but so that through you, many other souls may also find the way back to life. I know there were seasons when you saw no results, only dry ground, weary hands, and a heavy heart. You sowed goodness quietly, restrained your mouth from bitterness when you had every reason to complain, and chose to kneel in prayer when your mind wanted to give up. There are victories for which no one applauds, no one recognizes, and no one names. Yet heaven has seen them all. When you chose not to retaliate though you were wounded, when you forgave while tears were still warm upon your face, when you continued believing even as every outward support seemed to fall away, you won battles deeper than any battle visible to human eyes. Hebrews 6:10 reminds you that God is not unjust to forget your work and the love you have shown. I have not forgotten a single time you chose what was right in secret. I have not overlooked one choked prayer. I have not dismissed the small steps you took in obedience. Before human eyes, those moments may have seemed ordinary decisions, but in the spiritual realm, every time you chose faithfulness, a small flame was lit, and many small flames together become a great light that no darkness can easily extinguish. Understand this, my child. The harvest does not come merely because you labored much, but because you refused to let your soul surrender during the season when nothing appeared to grow. Some work hard while their hearts remain full of pride, but you have learned to do small things with a heart laid before me. Some abandon the field before seeing fruit, but you, though weak at times, kept returning to me, kept rekindling hope, and kept allowing faith to grow again from soil that seemed exhausted. Galatians 6:99 declares that you must not grow weary in doing good, for in due season you shall reap, if you do not lose heart. Do you see that promise has its appointed season? Not every seed sprouts the moment it falls into the ground. Not every prayer becomes a visible answer on the very first day, but I am the keeper of the harvest. I know when the roots have grown deep enough, when the trunk has become strong enough, when the fruit can appear without causing pride to rise within you, and when the field is ready for you to enter it, not as one seizing a reward, but as a humble steward of grace. Remember Ruth, beloved child, the Moabite woman who followed Naomi through a journey marked by loss. She did not arrive in Bethlehem carrying glory in her hands, but with quiet faithfulness and an uncertain future. She went into the fields to glean, gathering the leftover stalks behind the harvesters, not knowing that within that ordinary field, I was arranging an encounter that would redirect her entire life. Ruth did not despise small beginnings. She did not complain against her circumstances. She remained faithful in what seemed lowly in the eyes of others, and I used that very field to bring her into the lineage of the Redeemer. From a foreign widow, she became part of the great story of the covenant. Do you see, my child, I often place the harvest in the very place where you think you are only doing quiet work, in the place where you are simply trying to live rightly, trying to keep your heart pure, trying to love even when life is not yet changed. Therefore, do not underestimate the field before you today. The place where you bend down to gather one small stalk at a time may be the very place where I am preparing a blessing far beyond anything you have asked for. So, do not keep turning back to look at the seeds with regret. The seasons of sowing carried their own tears, their own long nights, and their own loneliness. But when I call you into the harvest season, you must learn to receive with gratitude and move forward with courage. Psalm 126:5-6 declares that those who sow in tears shall reap in joy, and those who go out weeping while carrying seed to sow shall surely return rejoicing, bringing their sheaves with them. Those words do not deny your tears. They sanctify them as part of the harvest itself. What you have wept over was not meaningless. What you endured was not wasted. What you faithfully persevered through in secret did not vanish like the morning mist. I have used all of it to soften the soil of your heart, deepen the roots of your faith, and prepare you not only to receive blessing, but to carry that blessing rightly. But, beloved child, the harvest season is not the time for self-exaltation. When the sheaves are finally placed into your hands, remember who sent the rain, who preserved the ground, who caused the sun to rise, and who quietly protected the tender sprouts during the days when you could not yet see them. I bring you into a season of fruitfulness, not so that you may boast in your own efforts, but so that you may become a sign that faithfulness is never buried forever. Let your life become a pathway for those who come after you. The prayers you once whispered in loneliness may become comfort for another lonely soul. The steps you once walked in silence may become markers for someone afraid to continue forward. The holy choices you kept when no one else could see may become a light, guiding many others out of compromise. Matthew 5:16 teaches that your light must shine before others, so that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. Therefore shine, but do not draw the glory back to yourself. Bear fruit, but never forget that your roots remain in me. So, rise up, beloved child, not with the haste of one trying to prove themselves, but with the steadiness of one who knows that my appointed time has come. The field I have prepared is not only somewhere out there. It is also within your heart, within your family, within the people I have placed near you, and within the places that desperately need gentleness and truth. Walk in the light that has been given to you. Reap with clean hands, with a tender heart, and with a spirit that remains watchful. I saw you in the season of sowing. I preserved you through the season of waiting, and I will walk with you through the season of harvest. What was once tears shall become oil of joy. What was once a choked and trembling prayer shall become a song. What was once quiet faithfulness shall shine forth as living testimony that I have not forgotten you, have not abandoned you, and will never allow a single seed sown in faith to die in vain. Beloved child, I did not ignite your soul so that you could hide that light away in a secluded corner and call it peace. True peace is not a silence that closes itself off, nor is it a life illuminated only enough for yourself. When I touch you, I do not merely open your eyes to know me. I also open your hands so that you may give away what you have received. The world around you may speak much about hope, love, and truth, yet there are still countless hearts living beneath the shadows of loneliness, wounds, jealousy, and weariness. Some stand very near the light, yet have never allowed the light to enter their hearts. Some hear about me with their ears, yet their hearts remain shut, because the wounds they carry are too old and deep. Therefore, I call you not simply to become one who looks toward heaven, but to become a sign of heaven upon the earth. You are the light of the world, as Matthew 5:14 declares. And if I call you light, then your life must carry direction, warmth, guidance, and the ability to touch the cold places that many others have forgotten. Do not think that knowing me once is enough for your soul to keep burning brightly without continuing to walk forward. Relationship with me is not a sacred memory for you to place upon the shelf of your heart and allow the dust of passing years to settle over. Faith was not created to lie still like a precious stone hidden away in a box, but to live, to be refined, and to move through every word you speak, every choice you make, and every way you respond to those who hurt you as you walk with me. The light within you grows stronger, but when you remain too long in indifference, your heart slowly begins to grow cold without you even realizing it. Revelation 3:16 warns about a lukewarm heart, neither hot nor cold. And those words were not spoken to frighten you, but to awaken you. I do not want you to be someone who only once burned brightly in the past. I want you today to still have oil in your lamp, still carry love within your eyes, still keep tenderness within your heart, and still remain willing to follow me, even when the road is not always easy. Remember this, my child, the light I place within you is not a dazzling brightness meant to elevate you above others, but a lamp so that the weary may still find their way home. If you use what I have given you to judge others, to separate yourself from souls who are stumbling, or to consider yourself holier than they are, then that light becomes mixed with pride and will wound instead of heal. But when you allow the light to pass through mercy, it becomes warmth. When it passes through humility, it becomes encouragement. When it passes through forgiveness, it becomes a doorway through which others may believe that they too can still be restored. John 1:7 declares that if we walk in the light as he is in the light, then we have fellowship with one another. Do you see? True light does not isolate you within your own appearance of holiness. As this awakening grows inside you, know that helping with this mission is not a joke. It is a sign from God. You can support this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community. By doing so, you become part of Jesus' plan to save souls who are still stuck in fog. Every seed turns into light that fights against darkness. If you water others, you will be watered yourself, Jesus says. This is not history. It is a living promise about your future. Come into this moment with faith and a plan. What God has already planned for your life can be unlocked through your giving. True light draws you into love, into fellowship, and into a gentle responsibility towards souls that are longing for a helping hand. I want you to remember the young servant girl in 2 Kings 5, the one taken captive from her homeland and made a servant in Naaman's house. She held no position, no great voice among the power of armies, and no glory before human eyes. Yet within her heart she still carried a small light. She knew that I could heal through my prophet when she saw her master suffering from leprosy. She did not keep that knowledge hidden in silent resentment, nor did she allow the pain of exile to extinguish her compassion. One simple sentence from her opened the way for Naaman to come before Elisha, to go down into the Jordan River, humble himself in obedience, and be cleansed. Beloved child, light often does not begin through great sermons, but through a timely word, through mercy shown toward someone you could have hated, through a small act flowing from a faith that is still alive. I can use a quiet soul to prepare the way for a mighty miracle. Therefore, do not wait until you feel perfect before allowing the light within you to shine outward. I am not asking you to become the sun. I am only asking you not to hide the lamp I have already lit within you. There are people around you who do not need lofty words. They need to see a life that remains patient when misunderstood, gentle when it has the right to be harsh, prayerful when the news around them spreads fear, and forgiving even while the pain is still fresh. Let us not love in word or in tongue, but in deed and in truth, as 1 John 3:18 teaches. Your light will reveal itself through the way you answer someone who is hurting, through the way you remain silent before provocation, through the way you strengthen those weaker than yourself, and through the way you refuse to abandon broken places simply because they make you uncomfortable. Be watchful also, my child, because darkness does not always appear as obvious evil. Sometimes it comes as weariness that pulls you away from prayer, as busyness that causes you to stop listening to me, as complacency that makes you think you are already bright enough, or as fear that keeps you from doing what is right. When light is hidden away for too long, it no longer remains a flowing stream. It becomes a sealed room. Yet everything I give carries the nature of overflowing. Grace is received so that it may continue to be given away. Comfort is granted so that you may comfort others. The forgiveness you have tasted must become the way you treat those around you. Isaiah 58:10 says that if you pour yourself out for the hungry and satisfy the afflicted soul, then your light shall rise in the darkness. It is precisely when you give away what I have placed within you that the light does not diminish, but instead becomes clearer, stronger, and deeper. So today, rise up with a spirit that is awake. Do not merely keep me in your thoughts. Carry me into the way you live. Do not only speak about light. Become a place through which light may pass. Go to the one who has lost their laughter with gentleness. Go to the one who is lost with truth that is not cold. Go to the broken places with prayer and hands willing to lift others up. I do not need you to impress the world. I desire for you to reflect me. If you continue walking in the light, even if your steps seem small, your life will become a pathway through which others may see hope. And when you give away light with humility, you will discover something wondrous. The light within you does not fade, but I cause it to burn even brighter, because what belongs to me becomes more alive in glory, the more it is shared in love. Beloved child, do not let the noise of this age fill your soul with fear. When you see old foundations trembling, familiar patterns cracking apart, and things you once believed to be secure suddenly becoming fragile, remember that no movement in this world ever catches me by surprise. What humanity calls chaos in my hands may be a deep and sacred rearrangement. What you see as collapse, I may use as preparation for a new way forward. Some jars must be broken, so that the fragrance within them may be released. Some ground must be turned over, so that sleeping seeds may reach the light. Some shakings do not come to destroy, but to awaken. Hebrews 12:27 reminds you that what can be shaken will be removed, so that what cannot be shaken may remain. Therefore do not look only at outward collapse, and conclude that I have withdrawn my hand from the world. No, beloved child, I still hold heaven's measuring line, still separate what is temporary from what is eternal, and still call humanity back to the things that do not decay: love, truth, humility, holiness, and mercy. What I am doing is not merely repairing a few cracks in your life, nor simply bringing you back to the place where you once stood before you were wounded. I am not a God who merely patches old things. I am the Creator who brings forth something new from places that seem completely empty. When I declared in Isaiah 43:19, "Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall you not know it?" I did not speak with the voice of one merely offering comfort, but with the authority of the one who can make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. You have passed through seasons when your soul knew only how to ask for healing, for strength, for the ability to survive one more day. I heard you. I carried you. I bound up the wounds you thought no one else could see. But now, I am not only calling you to rise and be restored, I am calling you into a deeper role, to become a co-worker with my grace, one who carries new life into old places, one who sows hope into fields long accustomed to disappointment. Do you remember Bezalel in the book of Exodus? Beloved child, I called him not to stand before the people with grand speeches, but to use hands anointed to create holy things for the tabernacle. I filled him with the Spirit of God, with wisdom, understanding, knowledge, and skill to craft beautiful works. Do you see? Creativity itself can become a form of worship. Hands willing to obey can become instruments of glory. A heart surrendered to my guidance can transform wood, gold, fabric, and precious stones into a place where my presence is honored. Your life is the same. Beloved child, what I have placed within you is not accidental. Your ability to love, your sensitivity toward pain, the experiences through which you endured loss, the eyes that have wept yet still know how to show compassion. All of these can become holy materials if you place them back into my hands. Do not despise your past simply because it contains painful chapters. Do not think that your failures, your seasons of waiting, your prayers without words, and the wounds you never even knew how to name, are discarded parts of your story. In my hands, nothing entrusted through tears becomes meaningless. Romans 8:28 declares that all things work together for the good of those who love God, and that all things includes even the memories you once wished you could erase. I do not call evil good, but I have the authority to turn the places that wounded you into places where my light shines most clearly. I can use failure to teach you humility, delay to deepen your trust, loss to enlarge your mercy, and the days when you believed you were lost to prepare you to lead others home. What you once regretted may become a testimony. What once filled you with shame may become the very place where my grace is seen most powerfully. Therefore, when I begin removing old layers from your life, do not quickly grasp them again, simply because they are familiar. Some garments no longer belong to the new season. Some rhythms of life no longer carry true life within them. Some concerns that once controlled you must now make room for a higher calling. Matthew 9:17 reminds you that new wine is not poured into old wineskins, for the skins would burst and the wine would be lost. New wine requires new wineskins. You also need a heart that has been enlarged, a mind that has been renewed, and a life that listens more closely to me than to fear. I do not bring you into a new season so that you may walk with the feet of the old one. I do not entrust spiritual creativity to a soul still bound by control, resentment, and shame. Allow me to renew the way you think, the way you pray, the way you serve, the way you see yourself, and the way you see others. This season requires softness, because only softened ground can receive seed deeply. Perhaps you still wonder why I did not explain everything sooner, but beloved child, there are truths that can only be understood once you have matured enough to carry their meaning without being crushed beneath it. Some answers, if given too early, would only have confused you. But when they arrive in the proper season, they become healing oil. One day you will look back and see that my hand was weaving together the fragments that once appeared disconnected into a tapestry with purpose and beauty. The closed doors protected you. The winding paths taught you how to recognize my voice. The moments when you were slowed down rescued you from running after what was never meant for you. Behold, I make all things new, as Revelation 21:5 declares. Those words do not belong only to the final day, but echo into every life willing to be renewed from within. I am not merely renewing your circumstances. I am renewing your identity, your calling, and the way you carry my presence in the world. Now, beloved child, step into this season of creativity with reverence and hope. Do not walk as one seeking a reward only for yourself, but as one invited to take part in the work of the Father. Rebuild where others see only ruins. Sow words of life where others have grown accustomed to hearing death. Bring gentleness into hardened places, truth into confusion, and prayer into anxious hearts. I am restoring the connections between heaven and humanity, and I desire for your life to become a shining thread within that work. You are not defined by what has been broken. You are defined by the one who is making you new. Offer to me every experience, every tear, every lesson, and every remaining fragment still held within your hands. I will not waste any of them. I will breathe life into them, bind them together through grace, and build within you a work that exists not only for your restoration, but so that through you many others may also realize that I am still the Creator, the Redeemer, and the one who brings all things to completion and glory. Beloved child, in the deepest place within your heart, there is a sacred dwelling that no human eye can see and no human hand can touch. That place was not built from the materials of earth, but from my breath, from the promises I planted within you, from the very beginning, from the moments you continued to believe, even while trembling, and from the times you still hoped, though the darkness seemed endless. It is not a small chamber of imagination, but the place where your soul meets me, where my presence whispers more gently than all the noise of the world. You have carried that sacred place through many dusty seasons, through words that wounded you, fears you could never fully name, silent disappointments, and the times you blamed yourself far too long. The dust of years has settled upon those holy corners within you, not because I ever left, but because you became so wary that you forgot to open the door of your heart for my light to enter. But today I do not come to condemn you. I come like a father bending down to relight the lamp within your house, so that you may remember that you are the temple of God, and the Spirit of God dwells in you. As 1 Corinthians 3:16 declares, do not be afraid when I bring light into the places you once kept hidden. My light is not like the cold, condemning gaze of humanity. My light is a healing fire, a truth filled with mercy, a hand lifting away old layers, so that wounds may be cleansed and finally closed. There are things within you that have remained far too long. A trace of bitterness you called self-protection. A measure of pride you called strength. A hidden fear you named wisdom. A deep wariness you concealed beneath the appearance of normal life. I see it all. Yet, I still love you. I do not shine into your heart to shame you, but so that you no longer have to live inside the dark room your pain has built. God is light, and in him there is no darkness at all. As 1 John 1:5 says, therefore, when I enter, darkness is not negotiated with. It is called by its true name and replaced by life. Allow your heart to become a living altar, a place filled not only with prayer, but with true surrender. That altar does not require gold or silver to become precious. What makes it beautiful before me is a heart willing to return, willing to humble itself, willing to say, Father, cleanse me from within. Every time you choose gentle words, instead of words that wound, it becomes an offering. Every time you serve quietly without needing recognition, it rises before me like a sweet fragrance. Every time you forgive while the memory still aches, it becomes a coal placed upon the holy fire. Romans 12:1 calls you to present your body as a living and holy sacrifice pleasing unto God. But beloved child, a living sacrifice is not merely one emotional moment. It is each day you allow me to reign over your thoughts, your words, your choices, and even the hidden reactions within your heart. I want you to remember King Hezekiah, who reopened the doors of the temple after it had long been neglected and defiled. When he became king, he did not begin by displaying his power before the people, but by leading them back to the holy place. The priests and Levites entered in, removed every unclean thing from the temple, cleansed the forgotten places, restored worship, and rekindled spiritual order before me. That was not merely the repair of an outward building. It was the sign of a people being called back into covenant. Beloved child, there are also doors within you that need to be reopened, old corners that need to be cleansed, and lamps that have grown dim and need fresh oil. Do not fear this process. A temple that is cleansed does not lose its beauty. It is restored to its original purpose. A soul that is purified is not humiliated. It is set free to worship in truth. The shakings you have experienced are not always signs of failure. There are tremors I allow so that the loose stones within you may fall away, so that the foundations built upon human approval, control, self-sufficiency, or fear may be exposed. When you feel something breaking within you, you often think I am allowing you to collapse. Many times I am removing what could never support your calling in the new season ahead. Hebrews 12:28 reminds you that you are receiving a kingdom that cannot be shaken. Therefore, I am teaching you to distinguish what belongs to that kingdom from what is only temporary decoration. Pain may make you tremble, but it can also awaken you. Tears may weaken you, but if you bring them before me, they will wash the old dust from the altar of your heart. Do not try to hold on to everything simply because it has become familiar. Some old thoughts no longer have permission to rule over you. Some old habits no longer deserve a place within the holy sanctuary. Some voices once defined you by your failures, but I call you by grace. When the lamp of faith within you is rekindled, you will begin to clearly see what nourishes your soul and what merely exhausts it. You will realize that not every invitation comes from me. Not every open door leads to life, and not every form of business is the fruit of obedience. Psalm 51:10 prays, "Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me." That is also the prayer I desire to place upon your lips today, not as a cry of despair, but as an open door for renewal. And when the holy place within you is illuminated once again, your life will no longer be ruled by hurried reactions, but by discernment that comes from heaven. You will know when silence is wisdom, when words can bring healing, when to walk away from what pollutes your heart, and when to remain because love requires endurance. The lamp I light within you is not only for you to feel peace during prayer. It must shine into every decision, every relationship, every plan, and every way you face yourself. Your word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. Psalm 119:105. You need that light not only within the sanctuary of your soul, but also in the noisy marketplaces of life, in difficult choices, and in the moments when you are tempted to return to old ways of living. So, today, allow me to enter the deepest place within you, not as a distant guest, but as the rightful owner of the house I, myself, created. Offer to me the parts of your heart still covered in dust, the memories that still ache, the faith that still feels weak, and the dreams that were left forgotten. I will not reject the ruins you bring before me. I will use them as the beginning place for a new work. I will lay the foundation again with truth, rebuild the walls with trust, open the doors through repentance, light the lamps through faith, and fill that place with a peace beyond understanding. You are not an abandoned temple. You are still the dwelling place where I desire to remain, where I desire to heal, and where I desire to reveal the radiance of my light. Let every breath become a fragrance before me, every small act become an offering, and every new day become a gentle whisper saying, Father, this place belongs to you. Beloved child, I see you walking through the deepest pathways of your soul, places where no one else can walk beside you, with complete understanding as I do. There were once inner halls within you that glowed brightly with faith, echoed with pure prayers, and carried the fragrance of hope like incense rising before me. But through long seasons, the winds of anxiety swept through the cracks. The dust of disappointment settled upon the sacred steps, and there are dark corners you have grown accustomed to avoiding, because you fear that if you touch them, the pain will awaken again. Yet today, I do not lead you there so that you may be afraid. I lead you back so that you may know the places once wounded can still become places where my glory is revealed. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. As Psalm 147:3 declares, those words are not distant comfort, but my hand resting upon every fracture within your heart. Do not think that the scars you carry are proof that you have failed before me. A wound surrendered in trust can become a window through which light enters. A tear once shed in loneliness can become holy oil, soothing the flickering flame upon the altar of your heart. The memories you once wanted to bury deeply, I can transform into precious stones within the temple of your inner life, not because pain itself is beautiful, but because my grace has the power to redeem even the deepest suffering and make it serve life instead of death. Many times you have wondered why you still tremble when the winds of the past begin to blow again. Why a single word, a silence, or even a small loss can shake the walls of peace within you. I know I do not despise that fragility. I walk beside you as the healer of your soul, never rushing, never forcing, but patiently shining light into each hidden place, until you dare to believe that you no longer need to hide anything from me. Sometimes the storm does not come through great events that cause your whole life to collapse, but through very small things, a doubtful thought slipping in just as you are about to pray, a distraction pulling you away from my presence, a wariness that causes you to stop guarding your heart, a whisper telling you that you have prayed for too long and nothing has changed. The enemy often does not need to break down the door if it can make you forget to lock your heart in me. It does not always roar in order to frighten you. Many times it only spreads a thin mist of doubt, just enough for you to no longer see clearly the way back to the holy place. But my child, be sober and vigilant, as 1 Peter 5:98 reminds you, not so that you may live in tension, but so that you may understand that peace must be guarded with watchfulness, and the lamp of faith must be filled with oil through prayer, through my word, and through very small faithful choices each day. I want you to remember Elijah after the victory on Mount Carmel. He had seen fire fall from heaven and had witnessed my power shake the people. Yet soon afterward, when Jezebel's threat reached him, he ran into the wilderness, sat beneath a broom tree, and asked to die. Do you see? Even someone who has stood in the midst of miracles can become exhausted, afraid, and convinced that they are alone. I did not come to Elijah with condemnation. I allowed him to rest, gave him food, and then led him to Horeb, where I met him not in the great wind, not in the earthquake, not in the fire, but in a still, small voice. That story in 1 Kings 19 is a lamp for you. Some souls do not need more pressure to become strong. They need to be nourished by me again, to rest again, and to hear my voice again in stillness. You are the same. My child, do not regard your weariness as a betrayal of faith. Bring it to me, and I will help you discern what exhaustion needs healing, what fear needs deliverance, and where my voice is calling you back to the center of peace. Within the sacred temple of your heart, there are curtains of peace that have been pulled so fiercely by the winds of life that they seemed ready to tear. There are prayers that once burned brightly, but were weakened by the rain of doubt. There are walls that once stood firm, but now carry cracks of disappointment, loss, and all the times you tried to believe, but did not see the answer come in the way you had hoped. But I tell you, a crack is not always a sign that the temple is about to fall. Sometimes, it is the very place where my light begins to enter. Sometimes, it is where I open a path of healing you had never allowed before. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Psalm 46:7-1 declares, "You do not need to repair everything by your own strength. You only need to open your heart and allow me to enter the very place you once locked away." Go deeper. Beloved child, do not merely stand at the doorway of the sanctuary within your heart. Do not pray only safe prayers that remain on the surface. Let me lead you through the corridors that gradually grow brighter, where every honest step you take before me becomes a step toward resurrection. When you admit that you are wounded, the light will not leave you. When you confess that you are afraid, I will not be ashamed of you. When you say that your faith is weak, I will not quench the smoking wick. Isaiah 42:103 declares that a bruised reed he will not break, and a faintly burning wick he will not put out. This is how I treat you. I do not come to extinguish the last remaining flame within you. I come to shelter it from fierce winds, to pour for fresh oil upon it, and to cause it to burn again with a purer fire. And when the light within you is stirred again, you will begin to realize that the sacred refuge is not far from you. It is not found in perfection, nor in every circumstance becoming stable, nor in the absence of all trembling. That refuge is my presence within your heart, even while the wind still blows outside, even while the walls are still being repaired, even while the altar is still wet with tears. I do not wait until your temple is completely radiant before I dwell within it. I dwell within it in order to make it radiant. You are about to enter your divine future. Remember that this message does not end with you. People can use your breakthrough to get where they need to go. Through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community, you can help this mission. By doing so, you are sowing into the awakening, deliverance, and restoration of souls who are still trapped in darkness. This is not poetry when Jesus says, "Give, and heaven will open over you." Every seed you plant turns into oil for your destiny, fire for your calling, and safety for your family. Now is your time, my child. Have faith, and as you do, watch God multiply what you let go of. I do not wait until you are no longer broken before I love you. My love is the very power that heals those broken places. Therefore, let every breath become a return to me, every step become an end of trust, and every memory touched by my hand become a mark of grace. My child, do not hand over authority over the holy place within your heart to anxiety, to memories, to distractions, or to the voice of the enemy. Restore the altar to the center once again. Relight the lamp with my word. Open the doors that have been shut because of fear, and allow the wind of the Holy Spirit to blow through. Instead of the old winds of unrest, I am walking beside you through every corridor, touching every wall, gathering every broken fragment, drying every tear, and rewriting upon your heart words of life that no storm can erase. You are not a temple abandoned in ruins. You are the place I still choose to dwell, still choose to heal, and still choose to illuminate. And from that deepest place, I will make your peace no longer fragile, like a curtain trembling before the wind, but steadfast like an altar built upon my everlasting love. Beloved child, there is a place deep within your heart where the noise of the world cannot enter unless you open the door to it. That place does not belong to crowds, to the judgments of others, or to the memories that once made you tremble. That place belongs to me. I have built within you an invisible temple, not of marble, cedar wood, or outward gold and silver, but of the breath of life, of faith that has been tested, of hope once buried, yet risen again, and of love that still lives after many wounds. Your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, and those words speak not only of outward holiness, but also remind you that within you there is a place where I desire to dwell, to heal, to shine, and to renew day by day. Even though the dust of anxiety has settled upon the steps, and the rains of doubt once weakened the fire of prayer, I have never abandoned the place I chose. I see the cracks within you, the silent fractures that not everyone notices. Some cracks came from promises delayed. Some came from the strain of trying to remain strong for too long. Others came from disappointment, fear, and the feeling that you prayed while heaven remained silent. But my child, do not believe those cracks make you useless before me. Sometimes broken places are the very places where light enters most easily. Sometimes the wounds themselves become the places where my grace is seen most clearly. Psalm 34:18 says that the Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. I do not stand far away, watching you try to repair yourself. I come near, very near, with the tenderness of one who knows every trembling within your soul. And I place my hand upon the places medicine cannot reach, human words cannot soothe, and time alone cannot heal. At times, the winds of unrest blow through the openings in your heart, causing the peace you thought was secure to suddenly shake. One small thought can trigger an entire storm. One old memory can make you feel as though you have returned to former days. One silence from another person can make you hear again the echo of abandonment. I know these things. I know there are days when you have not completely lost faith, but you are simply too weary to pray with clear words. I know there are nights when all you can do is sigh, and even that sigh rises before me like incense. Romans 8:26 reminds you that the Spirit helps your weakness. For there are times when you do not know how to pray as you ought. Therefore, do not be ashamed of prayers that cannot form complete sentences. Do not hate yourself, because at times the flame within you burns only faintly. I do not extinguish a smoldering wick. I shield it from the violent wind and pour fresh oil upon it until it burns again. Remember the vision of Ezekiel when I showed him water flowing out from beneath the threshold of the temple. At first, the water reached the ankles, then the knees, then the waist, until at last it became a river too deep to cross. That water flowed into dry places, touched what was dead, and brought life forth again. Trees grew along its banks, leaves did not wither, and fruit never failed, because the water came from the holy place. Beloved child, that is also what I desire to do within you. From the deepest sanctuary of your heart, I desire to let a river of living water flow out, not only enough to satisfy your own thirst, but to reach the dry places within your memories, your thoughts, your relationships, and your calling. What once resembled a dead sea within you is not beyond my restoring power. when my presence flows through. What was barren can bear fruit, what was paralyzed can move again, and what was silent can sing once more. Therefore, my child, do not run away from the center of your heart simply, because there is still pain there. Many people spend their entire lives in the outer courts of their own souls, busy, smiling, working, speaking the right words, yet never daring to enter the holy place within, because they fear facing what has not yet been healed. But I am calling you deeper, not so that you may drown in the past, but so that you may meet me in the very place where you once believed there was only darkness. When my light shines into a hidden corner, it does not come to humiliate you. It comes to name what must be set free. When I ask you to release resentment, it is not because I do not understand how deeply you were hurt, but because I do not want that pain to continue ruling the altar within your heart. When I invite you to forgive, it is not to deny the wound, but to remove the chains from your soul. Isaiah 60:103 declares that I give beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning, and the garment of praise instead of a spirit of heaviness. This is the holy exchange I am carrying out within you. Be watchful also, my child, because the enemy often does not need to destroy the whole temple if it can simply cause you to neglect the lamp. It comes through very small distractions, through worries that seem reasonable, through business that keeps you from listening, through guilt that makes you avoid my presence, and through wariness that causes you to delay returning to me. But you do not need to live in fear. You only need to guard the holy place through small acts of faithfulness. A single verse kept within your heart, one sincere moment of prayer, one decision not to nurture bitterness, one act of turning off the noise in order to hear me, one loving deed no one else sees. All of these are drops of oil poured into the lamp. Proverbs 4:23 teaches you to guard your heart above all else, for from it flow the springs of life. If your heart is the place from which the waters flow, then you must allow me to cleanse that source, protect that source, and teach you to discern what nourishes life and what muddies the stream. Then you will begin to realize that true healing does not always come like thunder, causing every wound to disappear in a single moment. Often it comes like light slowly spreading through a long hallway, little by little, step by step, giving you enough courage to look back without being consumed, to remember without remaining chained, to weep while still hoping, and to be weak while still resting in me. I am rewriting upon the walls of your heart words of life instead of the old words of condemnation. I write, you are loved. I write, you are not abandoned. I write, your wounds are not your identity. I write, this place still belongs to me. And as those words sink deeply into you, you will discover that peace is no longer a fragile curtain before the wind, but a solid foundation beneath your feet. Today, open the doors of the temple of your heart to me. Do not wait until everything inside you is perfectly arranged before inviting me in, because I am the one who brings order. Do not wait until the lamp burns brightly before coming near to me, because I am the one who pours in the oil. Do not wait until every crack disappears before believing that you are still precious, because I can use even those cracks for my light to shine through. Let every breath become a returning to me, every tear become holy oil, and every surrendered memory become a stone in the new work I am building. I am walking with you through the deepest corridors, overlooking no corner, shrinking back from no wound. and never growing weary of your weakness. You are still the place where I desire to dwell, and from that holy place that has been healed, I will cause the light within you to blaze forth, not to display your pain, but to reveal the glory of my love. Beloved child, I know there are places within your heart you have not dared to revisit for a long time, because those places still echo with the sound of what was broken. Some stones within your sacred temple have been chipped by words that wounded you, by seasons when you had to remain strong in silence, by the times you trusted and were disappointed, loved and were hurt, hoped and were left embracing emptiness. But I do not enter those places as a distant visitor, nor do I walk in with the feet of condemnation. I enter as the Father who knew every crack before you ever tried to hide it. I bend down and touch the stones that have dried from tears, and beneath my hand, what once hardened in fear begins to soften again. The fractures you once considered ugly no longer remain evidence of failure. They become golden lines of grace, as though I were using the wounded places themselves to carve a deeper beauty into your soul. I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit within you. As Ezekiel 36:26 declares, those words are not merely a promise of outward change, but my voice speaking to every part of your heart that has become hardened through pain endured for too long. There was once an altar within you that burned brightly with simple prayers. In those days, you came to me with pure faith, with eyes that still found hope easily, with a heart that had not yet learned to defend itself so fiercely. Then the winds of life began to blow through. Answers came slowly, pain arrived without warning. Battles drained your strength, and the flame gradually grew smaller. You thought you had lost your prayer life, believing that your coldness had caused me to move farther away from you. But my child, I do not require you to create fire by your own strength. I am the one who breathed life into dust, so that humanity became a living soul, and I can also breathe upon the altar of ashes within you until the fire of faith burns again. The fire I ignite does not always blaze loudly for others to admire. Often it burns steadily, quietly, softly like a lamp in the depth of night, enough for you to return, enough for you to continue forward, enough for you to know that I am still there. I also see the pillars of love within your heart, the places that once upheld you through gentleness, now worn down by bitterness, doubt, and self-protection. You once opened your heart, once gave yourself freely, once believed in the goodness within others. Then there were hands that did not cherish your gift, promises that broke midway, betrayals that caused you to tell yourself that closing your heart would be safer. I do not condemn you for having learned pain. Neither do I force you to love again with a heart that has not yet been healed. But I want you to understand that protection is not always a wall. Sometimes true protection is allowing me to govern the door of your heart. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things, as 1 Corinthians 13:7 teaches. Yet that love is not weakness for others to trample upon, but strength born from a soul that knows it is mahfuz by me. When I restore the ability to love within you, I am not bringing you back to old innocence, but leading you into a deeper and more mature love, pure, yet discerning, gentle, yet with healthy boundaries, forgiving, yet never denying truth. Remember Peter, beloved child. He once declared that even if everyone else fell away, he would never leave me. Yet on that cold night, before the questioning voices of others, he denied me 3 times. the rooster crowed, and his heart shattered in shame. If the story had ended there, Peter might have lived forever beneath the shadow of that failure. But after I rose again, I did not seek him out to repeat his sin with burning anger. I met him by the shore, where there was a charcoal fire, bread and fish, and I asked him with love, "Do you love me?" As John 21 recounts, the 3 denials were touched by 3 invitations to love again, not to deepen his pain, but to restore his calling. Do you see? I do not avoid the places where you are ashamed. I go directly there. But I come carrying the bread of care, the fire of restoration, and a new calling for the soul that once collapsed beneath its own weakness. Therefore, do not tremble when I draw near to the veil within your heart, the place where you hide the things most difficult to speak, the failures you have not forgiven yourself for, the memories you do not want anyone to know, the choices you wish you could return and undo, the darkness you fear would cause me to leave. If it were brought into the light, I knew before you confessed. I saw before you spoke, and still I came near. I do not tear back that veil in wrath to expose you to shame. I touch it with love in order to free you from the sealed chamber of fear. When my Son gave his life upon the cross, the veil in the temple was torn from top to bottom, as Matthew 27:51 records. This was not a sign of destruction, but a declaration that the way to me had been opened through grace. No veil remains powerful enough to prevent a repentant soul from entering the mercy of the Father. My child, there are things you call too late. Yet in my hands they can still become a beginning. There are places you call unclean. Yet the blood of the covenant can still wash them pure. The breach shall lies. There are parts of you that seem dead, yet my voice can call life back into them again. Let us therefore come boldly unto the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in time of need, as Hebrews 4:16 declares. I do not invite you near, because you are already completely clean. I invite you near so that I may cleanse you. I do not wait until you stop trembling before I embrace you. My arms are the very place where your trembling begins to quiet. I do not love an imaginary perfect version of you. I love the real you standing here now with chipped stones, an altar that once grew cold, pillars worn by sorrow, and a veil once covered by shame. Now, allow me to continue my work within you. Let me gather the broken pieces you thought were only fit to be discarded. Let me wipe the dust of bitterness from the pillars of love. Let me breathe upon the ashes of your prayer life. Let me tear open the veil of fear so that light may flood in. Not a light that condemns you, but a light that sets you free. From this day forward, you no longer need to live like someone guarding a ruined temple. You are the place I am restoring. You are the altar I am rekindling. You are the work I am beautifying through grace. And when every crack within you begins to glow with the gold of redemption, you will understand that I have never wasted a single tear. I have used them all to make the deepest place within you shine more brightly with the rain of my love. Beloved child, before you rush forward again, pause within holy silence. Do not stop as one forced against your will, but as a child who recognizes the voice of their Father, calling from the deepest part of the soul. There were times when you ran too long after your own plans, tried to build by your own strength, and attempted to control what belongs only in my hands. And that very haste dimmed your heart to the gentle voice of the Holy Spirit. Today, I invite you to kneel, not to humiliate you, but to return you to the place of peace. When your knees touch the ground, your heart can touch heaven. When you stop defending yourself, light begins to enter. When you say to me, Father, cleanse me and teach me to hear your voice again, that very moment becomes a doorway opening into a season of restoration. Draw near to God, and He will draw near to you. As James 4:8 declares, those words were not written for the perfect, but for those willing to return with an honest heart. I want you to understand that spiritual awakening does not always begin with some dramatic event that everyone can see. Often, it begins with something very small. An apology you have long delayed, a phone call made to restore a broken relationship, a moment of turning off the noise in order to hear me, a choice to pray instead of continuing to complain, an act of service no one notices. Do not despise these small responses, for in my kingdom, even the smallest thing offered with a pure heart can open the way for great change. A fire does not need to begin with a raging blaze. It can begin with a single ember sheltered from the wind. A new season does not need to begin with the sound of trumpets. It may begin with one soul whispering, I was wrong. Please lead me back. Psalm 51:17 says that the sacrifices pleasing to me are a broken spirit and a contrite heart, which I will not despise. Do you see? I am not searching for religious performance within you. I am searching for truth, humility, and a willingness to let me correct what has become crooked. But my child, there are things that damage the soul without arriving like a great storm. They come quietly, subtly, almost unnoticed. A word lacking love that you call honesty, jealousy that you excuse as motivation, a lie you justify as avoiding trouble, a day without prayer that you dismiss as business, a small compromise you label harmless. These things do not destroy the inner house in a single day, but they slowly eat away at the foundation, hollowing out the inside, while the outside still appears strong. Catch for us the little foxes that ruin the vineyards, as Song of Solomon 2015 reminds you. For often it is not the great beasts that devastate the vineyard, but the small hidden things that gnaw at the roots, bite at the tender shoots, and cause the blossoms to wither before they can bear fruit. I warn you not to plant fear within you, but to restore to you the gift of watchfulness. There are habits you believe you control, yet in truth, they are shaping your heart day by day. There are relationships drawing you away from me that you continue to keep because you fear loneliness. There are sources of information polluting your spirit that you still open out of habit. There are angers you have fed for so long that they have become instinctive, and harsh words you have repeated so often that they have become the language of your heart. Proverbs 4:23 declares, guard your heart above all else, for from it flow the springs of life. If the waters within your heart become clouded, then your words, your decisions, your eyes, and even the way you love will also be affected. Therefore, do not merely clean the surface, allow me to bring light down to the very roots. Remember King Josiah. Beloved child, when the book of the law was found in the temple, he did not hear it and dismiss it as ordinary news. When my word was read aloud, his heart trembled with holy fear. He tore his robes, humbled himself before me, and realized how far the people had wandered from my ways. Yet Josiah's repentance did not end with emotion. He rose up, gathered the people, read the covenant aloud, cleansed the temple of every unclean thing, tore down the false places of worship, restored true worship, and led the people back to me. That story in 2 Kings 20:23 shows you that true restoration begins when my word is heard with reverence and answered with decisive action. If Josiah had only wept but never cleansed the temple, the defilement would still have remained. If you only feel stirred emotionally but never make a decision, the things consuming your soul will continue their hidden work. So, today, let my word shine specifically into your life. Do not merely speak in general terms about wanting renewal. Ask me what is causing your heart to grow cold. Do not simply say you want to be close to me. Look honestly at what is pulling you away from my presence. Do not only ask for peace. Allow me to reveal the doors you have opened for anxiety to enter. Perhaps you need to remove a habit, cut off a source of temptation, apologize to someone, forgive a hidden debt in your heart, rearrange your prayer life, or stop nurturing thoughts that draw you away from truth. If we confess our sins, He is faithful and just to forgive us our sins and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. As soon as John 1:9 declares, confession does not strip away your dignity. It opens the way for your true dignity to be restored through grace. Please know that every seed you plant in this mission will grow into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. Giving to this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through hearts that are kind. This is what I say over you now. Each gift you give is like a stream of living water that flows into the life of someone who needs healing. Give, and it will be given to you is not just a verse for Jesus. It is a living promise that shapes your future. Allow me to invite you now with a simple act of faith. Come into this moment with purpose, with honesty, and with hope. The money you give today is not a donation. The act of spiritual obedience that lets your heavens open is what opens them. Let go of your seed and see what God brings back into your life. Yet do not enter this work of cleansing with the pride of someone who believes they are strong enough alone. If you rely only on your own willpower, you will grow weary. If you merely hate your failures without running toward me, you will remain trapped in cycles of self-condemnation and defeat. Sanctification is not you polishing your soul in order to become worthy of my love. It is you allowing the Holy Spirit to work within you, guiding you, lifting you up, giving you strength to say no to the old ways and yes to what brings life. As Zechariah 4:6 declares, not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit. You need that strength to cleanse the deepest corners, to endure when old habits call you back, to remain humble when I correct you, and to rejoice because every step of returning is welcomed by me. Beloved child, begin today with one real act, a prayer that does not need to be long, but must be sincere, a surrender that does not need to be loud, but must be decisive, an act of service no one sees, yet born from love, an apology that does not need to sound perfect, but must be humble. When you do these things, the hidden decay will no longer be nourished in darkness. My light will pass through the cracks. The Holy Spirit will sweep away the old dust, and the altar within you will be rekindled with new fire. I do not call you back in order to trap you in shame. I call you back so that you may live in freedom. Kneel when you need to kneel. Rise when I tell you to rise. Cleanse what I reveal, and move forward when I open the way. For I am your merciful Father. and wherever you sincerely open the door, there I will enter to heal, to purify, and to rebuild with a light that never fades. Beloved child, let your heart grow still and recognize that I do not merely desire to repair the outward cracks of your life. I desire to lead the river of life into the deepest sanctuary of your soul. That river is not the temporary water of this world. It does not come from passing comfort, nor is it drawn from the well of human determination. It flows from my everlasting mercy. When I allow that water to flow into you, it does not rush noisily like a flood, but quietly, purely, and with deep power. It moves through the dry places you tried to forget, slips into the cracks of memory, touches the stones made cold by disappointment, and washes away the dust of regret that has clung to your soul for far too long. Whoever drinks of the water that I shall give him will never thirst again. The water that I shall give him will become in him a fountain springing up into everlasting life. As John 4:14 declares, do you see? I do not merely give you a little refreshment to survive the day. I place within you a spring capable of restoring even the lands you once believed were dead forever. There are places within your heart once built upon faith that through years and suffering became desolate. Your altar of prayer at times grew covered in silence, not because you stopped loving me, but because you became too wary to find words. There were moments when you knelt down and your mind felt empty, times when you wanted to speak with me, but fear of unworthiness kept your lips closed. I know it all, beloved child. I do not stand far away, measuring the length of your prayers. I bend down beside that altar, not to rebuke you because it grew cold, but to breathe life again into the ashes that remain. Romans 18:15 reminds you that you did not receive the spirit of bondage again to fear, but the spirit of adoption by whom you cry, Abba, Father. Therefore, from this day onward, do not come to me like one awaiting judgment in terror. Come as a child returning home, able to weep, able to remain silent, able to speak with clumsy words, yet still embraced by the Father who loves them. I want you to remember the Samaritan woman at the well. She came during the heat of the day, perhaps because she wished to avoid the eyes of others, because her life carried many fractures and things that filled her with shame. Yet, I met her there at the very place where she thought she had come only to draw ordinary water. I did not begin with condemnation. I opened a conversation with her, touched the thirst that ran deeper than the thirst of her body, and spoke of living water that could satisfy the soul in a way the old wells never could. And when she realized who it was speaking to her, the water jar that had once been the reason, she came to the well no longer mattered most. She ran back to the village, carrying the testimony of someone who had been fully seen without being rejected. My child, this is how I meet you as well. I meet you beside the wells you once turned to in order to soothe your thirst, recognition, control, business, and habits that helped you temporarily forget your pain. But I do not leave you there. I offer you water from my own heart so that you no longer have to live like one, endlessly drawing from wells that can never truly fill the soul. When my living water flows through the temple within you, it does not only wash away the sins you have confessed, it also softens the hardened places formed by self-condemnation. There are things you have repented of before me, yet your heart still clings to the old verdict against yourself. There are failures I have already forgiven, yet you continue placing them upon the altar as proof that you cannot truly be loved completely. Beloved child, let my water cleanse even that shame. 1 John 109 declares that if you confess your sins, I am faithful and just to forgive you and cleanse you from all unrighteousness. I do not forgive halfway. I do not wash the outside while leaving the inside to live beneath the damp smell of guilt. Wherever my water touches, life begins to awaken again. From the ashes of sorrow, I cause trust to grow. From soil once occupied by fear, I bring forth branches of hope from rooms once filled only with sighing. I restore the sound of quiet yet genuine songs. Then I begin opening the windows you closed long ago. Some windows you shut because you feared the light would expose what you were hiding. Some you closed because you feared that if you looked outside again you would once more see what caused you pain. Others you closed because you became accustomed to living in a dim and guarded safety, where you did not have to face truth, yet could never grow in freedom. I do not force those windows open violently. I place my hand upon the latch with gentleness. And when you are willing, I open them, so that the wind of the Holy Spirit may enter. That wind does not carry chaos. It carries the freshness of heaven. It blows away the dust covering your mind, lightens memories that once felt heavy as stone, and teaches you to see the world through eyes that have been healed. The wind blows wherever it pleases. As John 3:98 reminds you, you cannot always control the way the Spirit moves, but you can open your heart and allow Him to pass through and renew what has long been stagnant within you. And when light enters through those windows, you will realize that many things no longer appear the same, not because everyone around you suddenly becomes perfect, but because your heart is no longer ruled by old wounds. Once you may have looked at others through the lens of suspicion, quick to notice faults, quick to build defensive walls, quick to answer with coldness. But when the living water and the wind of the Holy Spirit begin their work within you, judgment slowly gives way to compassion. Bitterness loses its right to sit upon the throne of your heart. Peace no longer remains a fragile emotion, dependent upon circumstances, but becomes the mark of my presence within you. Colossians 3:13 teaches you to bear with one another and forgive one another, just as the Lord forgave you. Such forgiveness does not erase truth, but removes the chains from your soul, so that you no longer carry the people who wounded you everywhere inside your heart. Therefore, my child, allow me to continue pouring living water into every room within you. Let the things covered in moss be cleansed, the prayers that have fallen silent be rekindled, the windows long shut be opened once again, and the dark corners accustomed to silence be touched by the light of a new beginning. Revelation 22:1 speaks of the river of the water of life, clear as crystal, flowing from the throne of God. That river is the image of life that never runs dry, grace that cannot be corrupted, and love that time itself cannot diminish. I desire for that river to flow within you, not only so that you may be refreshed, but so that your life may become a place where others also encounter life. Come to me with open hands, with softened knees, and with a heart no longer striving to hide its pain. I will wash, I will breathe, I will rekindle, I will open, I will renew. And when the light of forgiveness reflects upon the walls that were once cold and lifeless, you will know that the temple within you is no longer a forgotten place, but a dwelling where your Father reigns with peace, healing, and glory. Beloved child, do not despise the small garden I am planting deep within your heart. Perhaps to your eyes, it looks like only a few fragile shoots rising from soil once covered in ashes. Perhaps you look upon it and fear that even a gentle wind could make it bend. But my child, I often choose small things to reveal my great power. A tiny seed in my hand can become shelter for many weary souls. A very quiet prayer, if spoken with genuine faith, can become the beginning of an entire season of restoration. The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, which is the smallest of all seeds, yet when it grows it becomes a great tree. As Matthew 13:31-32 reminds you, therefore, do not despise humble beginnings. I do not require the garden within you to be instantly full of fruit in order to prove that I am working. I only ask that you allow me to plant, to water, to prune, and that you faithfully tend the soil of your heart day by day through prayer, listening, forgiveness, and love, after I have walked through the ruined corridors within you, after I have laid my hand upon the cracked stones, after I have washed away the smell of old ashes and breathed life into the altar that once grew cold. You will realize that my restoration does not merely return you to your former condition. I do not simply make you as you were before you were wounded. I make you deeper, gentler, brighter, and wiser. The places once gray and cold with fear may now begin to glow with the soft radiance of grace. The cracks that once filled you with shame are now sealed with the gold of mercy, so that you may understand that what was broken in my hands can still become holy beauty. He gives beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, and the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. As Isaiah 60:103 declares, do you see? I'm not only cleansing the temple within you, I am transforming it into a sanctuary where life itself can sing with a new rhythm. That rhythm will no longer be the rhythm of panic, self-protection, and exhaustion. It will become the rhythm of a soul that knows it is safely held in the hands of the Father. You will no longer run about searching for signs of healing, like someone standing outside a miracle, because you will begin to understand that the very breath of peace flowing within you is evidence that I have already entered in. Some miracles do not arrive with noise. They come like a clear morning, after many sleepless nights, like the moment you remember something painful, yet your heart no longer feels crushed by it, like a moment when you are finally able to pray without fearing rejection. Philippians 1:6 declares that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ. Therefore, do not become impatient with your own process. The healing I give is not a passing flash of light that quickly disappears, but a living work in which I rebuild beside you every stone of faith, every pillar of love, and every window of hope. Remember the early morning in the garden near the tomb, when Mary Magdalene stood weeping because she believed all hope had been buried. She saw the empty tomb, yet did not understand that life had already triumphed. She heard the voice calling, yet her heart was still drowned in tears. Then, when I called her by name, everything changed. She thought I was the gardener, and in a deep and holy sense, I truly am the gardener of the soul, the one who steps into places of mourning, calls the name of the one who is weeping, and transforms the garden of loss into a place where resurrection is proclaimed. That story in John 20 is given again to you today like a whisper. There are places you believe are only tombs, yet I can turn them into gardens of life. There are tears you thought belonged only to separation, yet I can transform them into testimonies of encounter. There are mornings when you think you are only searching for what was lost. Yet, I use them to call you into a new calling. Therefore, the garden within the temple of your heart must be guarded with quiet faithfulness. Do not allow the peace that has just begun to grow to be choked again by old habits. Do not let the tender fruit of the Spirit be crushed by haste, bitterness, or indifference toward my voice. Galatians 5:22-23 speaks of the fruit of the Spirit as love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Such fruit does not grow in a soul that continually closes its doors to me, but in a heart willing to remain in my presence. Pray not only when you are hurting. Listen not only when you are confused. Forgive not only when others deserve it, but when you desire to be free. Serve not to be noticed, but so that the river of living water within you may continue to flow outward. A garden left untended, even if once green, can become overrun with weeds. But a garden watered by me and guarded through your obedience will bear fruit beyond anything you imagine. I am sitting within that holy place now, beloved child, not as a visitor who comes and leaves, but as the Lord of the temple, as your Father, as the one who places his hand upon the altar and speaks peace once again. When I declare, "Let this place become a house of peace again," then the old echoes of fear must retreat. Shame no longer has authority to rule. Heavy memories no longer have permission to dominate the corridors of your heart. John 14:27 reminds you that I leave my peace with you. I give my peace unto you, not as the world gives. My peace is not fragile like emotion, nor does it depend on every circumstance becoming calm. That peace is my presence dwelling among the parts still being rebuilt. It is a gentle yet powerful light, strong enough to drive away the darkness that once hid in your deepest corners. From this day onward, walk within the illuminated temple as one who knows they are no longer standing outside the work of healing. You are not merely someone waiting for a miracle to arrive. You are already living inside the miracle I am continuing to complete within you. Every time you choose faith instead of fear, another stone is restored. Every time you choose love instead of closing your heart, another pillar is strengthened. Every time you choose hope instead of surrendering to despair, another window opens for light to enter. I will not abandon the work within you unfinished. I will continue watering the garden with streams from heaven, continue pruning the branches that bear no fruit, and continue causing peace to take deeper root. And in time, your life will become a place where the weary find shade, where the broken-hearted encounter comfort, and where the lost see a gentle lamp, leading them back to me. Remain in me, for the branch cannot bear fruit by itself unless it remains in the vine. As John 15:94 declares, remain and you will live. Remain and you will bear fruit. Remain and you will discover that the temple within you is not only rebuilt, but transformed into a garden of peace, where my glory quietly blossoms without end. Beloved child, when I rebuild the holy place within your heart, I do not merely make it brighter, more beautiful, or more peaceful. I also teach you how to live within my presence with holy reverence. As this awakening grows inside you, know that helping with this mission is not a joke. It is a sign from God. You can support this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community. By doing so, you become part of Jesus' plan to save souls who are still stuck in fog. Every seed turns into light, that fights against darkness. If you water others, you will be watered yourself, Jesus says. This is not history, it is a living promise about your future. Come into this moment with faith and a plan. What God has already planned for your life can be unlocked through your giving. There is a veil I desire for you to hang again in that sacred place, but not as a wall separating you from me, nor as a sign that you must stand far away in fear. That veil is simply a gentle reminder that the one dwelling within you is holy, and that you are a beloved child invited near by grace, yet never meant to approach that closeness carelessly. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, as Proverbs 9:10 declares. That reverence is not the terror of one being driven away, but the trembling love of a soul that understands it stands before the greatness, purity, and mercy of its Father. When you enter the holy place within your heart with gratitude, humility, and reverence, that very posture protects the temple from becoming polluted by pride, from becoming a place where you exalt yourself, and instead keeps it forever a place where I alone am lifted high. I see the small changes beginning within you, and do not despise them. A word softened before it leaves your lips, anger laid down before it becomes a wound to someone else, a moment of prayer inserted into the space where you once would have reacted hastily, an apology spoken even while your heart still feels hesitant. All these things are not small in my sight. They are new stones being placed into the walls of your life. This is how healing moves beyond emotion and becomes a way of living. Many people desire a miracle that changes them in a single instant. Yet I often cause that miracle to grow through daily choices of faithfulness. Colossians 3:12-13 teaches you to clothe yourself with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, patience, and forgiveness. These are not merely beautiful garments for the soul, but the very materials I use to rebuild you from within. Every time you choose love instead of revenge, faith instead of shrinking back in fear, gratitude instead of allowing complaint to rule your lips, the temple within you becomes stronger, brighter, and more alive. Remember Isaiah, beloved child, when he saw the Lord seated upon a high and exalted throne, the train of his robe filling the temple, and the seraphim crying out, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts." As recorded in Isaiah 6, before such holiness, Isaiah did not boast, nor stand upright in self-satisfaction, but confessed that he was a man of unclean lips. Then a burning coal from the altar touched his lips, not to destroy him, but to purify him and prepare him for the call. Whom shall I send? Do you see? True reverence does not make your soul flee from me. It causes you to become honest before me. And when you are honest, I do not leave you in shame. I touch the place that needs cleansing, and then I send you forward with renewed lips, a renewed heart, and renewed obedience. Therefore, whenever you enter the holy place within your heart, do not bring a mask, bring truth, and I will turn that truth into the place where grace begins. I will also guard the peace I have placed within you, not because you will never face wind again, but because you have learned where your refuge is. There are still thieves of faith that try to approach the door of your heart. Anxiety disguised as responsibility, comparison disguised as ambition, weariness disguised as a reason to neglect prayer, bitterness disguised as justice. But I do not leave you to stand watch alone. Psalm 91:11 declares that I will command my angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. And though your eyes do not always see it, you remain covered by care from heaven. There are mornings when you awaken and cannot explain why your heart feels lighter than the day before. Perhaps that is the gentle wind I have sent through the doors of your temple, reminding you that I am still with you. There are moments when a verse suddenly returns to your mind, when timely counsel comes through another person, or when a holy uneasiness restrains you from a wrong decision. This is how I station the watchman of grace at the gates of your heart. Yet, beloved child, my protection does not remove your responsibility to respond. I give peace, but you must guard your heart. I give light, but you must walk in the light. I give living water, but you must not return again to the old empty wells. Philippians 4:77 says that the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your heart and mind in Christ Jesus. Yet, just before that, my word also calls you not to worry, but to pray, to ask, and to give thanks. Do you see? Peace is not only received in moments of spiritual emotion. It is nurtured through holy practice each day. When you pause before speaking heated words, when you bring your fear into prayer, instead of letting it become a reaction, when you learn gratitude in the midst of what is still unfinished, you are cooperating with me to keep the temple within you clean, open, and full of life. And there will come a day when you look back and realize that I did not merely patch torn places, repair cracked walls, or wipe away a layer of sorrowful dust. I recreated you. What was old did not simply return to its former state. It was redeemed into something deeper. The altar within you burns now with a fire no longer dependent upon temporary emotion, but upon covenant. The walls shine, not because they were never cracked, but because those cracks have been filled with mercy. The windows stand open, not because your life no longer faces wind, but because you have learned to let the wind of the Holy Spirit enter, instead of the winds of fear. Behold, I make all things new. As Revelation 21:5 declares, those words are becoming the rhythm of your life. In every breath, every word, and every step you take, therefore, continue living as one who carries within them a temple that has been illuminated. Do not allow familiarity to make you forget holiness. Do not let grace make you careless. Instead, let grace cause you to love me more deeply. Become more humble and more gentle toward others. When you walk out into the world, heaven does not seek from you a perfection without scars. Heaven sees my light reflecting through a soul that has been healed. Learning to love, learning to forgive, learning to give thanks, and learning to walk in the light. And those who encounter you will not only see someone who survived pain, they will sense that God still dwells among His people, still breathes peace into desolate places, still turns tears into oil, and still performs miracles within hearts willing to open their doors to Him. Guard this place for me. Beloved child, let every day of your life become a living act of worship, so that the temple within you may not only stand firm, but shine as testimony that my love has entered, healed, and made all things new. Beloved child, I did not heal you so that you would remain forever inside your own private chamber, admiring peace as though it were a gift meant only for your soul. I healed you so that you could step outward, not with the pride of one trying to prove their strength, but with the humility of one who knows they have received mercy. There were seasons when I kept you hidden in quiet places to bind your wounds, restore your strength, and relight the lamp within you. But once that lamp has been lit again, it was never meant to be hidden beneath the bucket of fear. or the habit of withdrawing. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden, as Matthew 5:14 declares. Therefore, do not think that healing ends merely with inward peace. True healing becomes light flowing through your words, your attitudes, your choices, your gratitude, and the way you treat those who are still wandering in darkness. I have placed within you a flame, not so that you may stand out before human eyes, but so that the way back to me may become easier to see for weary souls. Every time you choose to speak truth and love, a lamp is lit in a place where deception once ruled. Every time you give thanks, even while circumstances remain unfinished, the flame within you is protected from being extinguished by the winds of complaint. Every time you choose love instead of nurturing resentment, you bear witness that darkness does not have the final authority over a heart touched by me. Ephesians 5:98 reminds you that once you were darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Therefore, walk as children of light. Do you see? Light is not merely something you possess. Light is the way you live. If you keep it only within spiritual feelings, without allowing it to become action, then the flame will never spread into the places where I desire to send you. Remember the man possessed by demons in the region of the Gerasenes. He once lived among the tombs, bound by chains, rejected by others, and regarded as a life beyond hope. But when I met him, darkness had to depart. Invisible chains were broken, and the man once imprisoned in chaos was found sitting peacefully, clothed, and in his right mind. He desired to follow me on the road. Yet I told him to return home and declare the great things God had done for him. As Luke 8 recounts, "Beloved child, this is a deep reminder for you. Sometimes the first mission of the healed is not to travel to distant places, but to return among those who once knew them in brokenness, and live as living proof that my power can remake a human life. I do not need you to hide your story out of shame. I desire for the grace within that story to become light guiding others. The temple within you that I have rebuilt was never meant to remain closed within a single soul. It belongs to the greater work I am building among humanity. Every restored person, every renewed heart, every soul brought back to life is like a living stone placed into my spiritual temple. 1 Peter 2:5 says that you are like living stones being built into a spiritual house, a holy priesthood. You do not stand alone in the light. You are part of the body, part of the river of grace, part of the greater testimony that I am still among my people, still saving, still healing, still calling those who were shattered to become instruments of peace. Therefore, when you step out from the private place of healing, do not walk out as one seeking applause. Walk out as a living stone that knows it has been placed in its proper position by the hand of the Father. I also give you living water, not merely to soothe your own thirst. That river must flow. If you receive comfort, yet never learn to comfort others, receive forgiveness, yet refuse to forgive, receive mercy, yet remain hard toward others, then you are withholding what was created to overflow. Rivers of living water will flow from within them, as John 7:38 declares concerning those who believe in me. That river may flow through a timely word of encouragement, a listening ear free from judgment, a quiet act of service, or a prayer for someone who can no longer pray for themselves. There are people around you who do not need long sermons. They need to encounter someone who once suffered, yet did not become bitter, someone who once fell, yet does not despise those who stumble, someone who has been forgiven, and therefore knows how to make room for mercy. Yet always remember this: to shine is not to perform. I reject the kind of light mixed with pride, because it no longer leads people back to me, but draws their attention toward you. True light does not loudly announce itself. It quietly dissolves darkness. When you help others, do not turn them into a stage for your own righteousness. When you speak truth, do not wield truth like a blade stripped of love. When you testify about what I have done, do not decorate yourself as though you were the center of the miracle. 2 Corinthians 4:97 reminds you that this treasure is carried in jars of clay, so that the surpassing power belongs to God and not to you. You are only a vessel shown mercy. The light within you belongs to me. That understanding will keep you humble, pure, and safe in the season when you are being sent out. Therefore, open the door of faith and step down into the valleys of humanity, where there are still people weeping in silence, families longing for a word of peace, and souls who need to see that restoration is real. Do not wait until you feel perfect before you shine. A lamp held by my hand can still guide the way. Let your healing become compassion. Let your peace become refuge for the weary. And let your story become a bridge for those still afraid to come near to me. Isaiah 16:1 declares, "Arise, shine, for your light has come. Rise, beloved child, not so that you may be glorified, but so that your Father may be made known. Shine through love, through truth, through gentleness, through a life that has been remade. And when others see the light within you, may their hearts not stop at you, but return to the eternal source of light, which is me." Beloved child, I want you to engrave this truth into the deepest place of your soul. When I restore, I do not perform unfinished work. I do not merely wipe away a few tears from your face while leaving your heart cracked within. I do not only mend what others can see, while the hidden rooms of memory remain cold and dark. I am the one who goes down to the roots, touching even the places you have learned to avoid, the wounds you no longer name, the memories you buried because you believed that if they were opened again, your soul would shatter once more. But my child, my hand does not break you further. My hand heals. My light does not shine in order to shame you, but so that darkness will no longer have a place to hide. He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Jesus Christ, as Philippians 1:6 declares. Therefore, what I begin within you, I will not abandon halfway. I am not only restoring what you lost, I am restoring your ability to hope, your ability to rejoice, your ability to trust, and your ability to walk again with the holy purpose you once believed had died in seasons of sorrow. Perhaps you have looked at your life and believed that certain things could never return again. You thought the peace you once carried had drifted too far away, that joy had become too fragile, that faith had grown too weary, and that your honor had been stained by failures, misunderstandings, or wrong choices. But I say to you that my grace is deeper than the abyss into which you once fell. I do not restore your honor so that you may lift your head in pride, but so that you may lift it in gratitude, and so that your life may become living testimony that failure never has the final word once I have spoken. Mercy. Joel 27:25 reminds you that I can restore the years that were consumed and devoured. Those words speak not only of harvest upon the earth, but also of the seasons within your soul that you believed had been wasted through tears, fear, and regret. I can turn the years that wounded you into treasures of wisdom. I can transform the places that once filled you with shame into places where you learn to love others more deeply. I can use what you once believed was the ending to open a beginning you never even dared to ask for, because you no longer believed yourself worthy. Remember Job, beloved child, who lost nearly everything a human being could cling to: possessions, children, health, the respect of those around him, and even the feeling of being understood by his closest friends. In the ashes, he grieved, questioned, and cried out in anguish. Yet, I did not forget him. And when the season of restoration came, I did not merely return outward things to Job. I brought him into a deeper knowledge of me. He confessed that before he had only heard of me, but now his eyes had truly seen me. As Job 42:5 declares, do you see? There is a restoration greater than receiving back what was lost. It is when your soul is drawn nearer to me, purified from shallow understanding, softened by humility, and established upon a foundation that circumstances can never steal away. I can restore your life in such a way that you will not merely say, I have been compensated, but instead say, I encountered the Father more deeply in the very place where I thought I had been abandoned. Do not fear the days when you cannot yet see clear signs. Beloved child, a seed does not cry out when it breaks open beneath the soil. Roots make no sound as they quietly grow deep in preparation to support the tree on the day strong winds arrive. True life often begins in silence, in places unseen by human eyes, where you can only believe before you can touch the results. I am working within you even when your emotions have not yet caught up with my promise. I am mending hidden places in your mind, washing old sorrow from your heart, and teaching your spirit to breathe again within my presence. We walk by faith, not by sight, as 2 Corinthians 5:7 says. Therefore, do not use the silence of the buried season to conclude that no life exists there. There are days when I work so deeply that you hear nothing at all. Yet, it is precisely within that silence that new foundations are being laid. Even now, not only in some distant future, I am restoring you. Do not tell your heart that I will begin only when circumstances change. Do not believe that I will draw near only after you become strong enough, clean enough, or stable enough. I am here in this very moment, nearer than your breath, gentler than every word of comfort, stronger than every wound. My spirit is moving through the inner corridors of your soul, where lamps once went dark, altars once gathered dust, and windows were shut because you feared the light would hurt you. Isaiah 61:3 declares that I give the oil of joy instead of mourning, and the garment of praise instead of the spirit of heaviness. This is not an abstract promise. It is the work I am performing within you as you open the door to me. I am exchanging the heavy garments of sorrow for peace. I am pouring oil upon the cracked dryness of your soul. I am rekindling the flame of faith not through pressure, but through the warmth of a father's love. You thought you came to me only seeking an answer, an explanation, an open door, or a change in circumstance. But my child, greater than every answer is my presence itself. So often you think you need to know why things happened, when the pain will end, who will remain beside you, what doors will open, or which road is the right one. I do not despise those questions, yet I desire to bring you into a deeper place, the place where you realize that if you have me, your soul will never lack what is essential. Psalm 16:11 says that in my presence there is fullness of joy, and at my right hand are pleasures forevermore. Answers may quiet your mind for a moment, but my presence anchors your soul. You are about to enter your divine future. Remember that this message does not end with you. People can use your breakthrough to get where they need to go, through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community, you can help this mission. By doing so, you are sowing into the awakening, deliverance, and restoration of souls who are still trapped in darkness. This is not poetry when Jesus says, "Give, and heaven will open over you." Every seed you plant turns into oil for your destiny, fire for your calling, and safety for your family. Now is your time, my child. Have faith, and as you do, watch God multiply what you let go of. Blessings may make your life fuller, but I myself am the fullness you have been searching for within every blessing. Therefore, let me become the one your soul desires first above all else. Come to me not only when you need rescue, but because you long to remain close to your Father. Lay down the restless need to understand everything, and receive instead the peace of being held by me in the midst of what is still unclear. When you have me, you will no longer be defined what you lack. When you abide in me, your wounds will no longer govern the story of your life. When you walk with me, the answers that are needed will come in their proper season. The places of lack will be cared for by my hand, and the broken places will be touched by hands that never tremble. Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you, as Matthew 6:33 declares. Seek me first, not because I desire to withhold good things from you, but because when you truly possess me, you will learn to receive every other blessing with a free and peaceful heart. Today, beloved child, believe that restoration is already taking place within you, even if your eyes cannot yet see flowers blooming. The roots have already begun to grow deep, even if your ears cannot yet hear the song of victory. A new melody has already been written within your heart. Even if your hands still tremble, my hand is still holding yours. Do not despise the small movements of grace, a breath that feels lighter than before, a prayer spoken more honestly, a tear no longer filled with the same despair, a moment when you feel the desire to live again, to love again, to believe again. These are signs that I am making all things new. I do not come to you with half-finished restoration. I come with the fullness of mercy, the fullness of power, and the fullness of a Father's faithfulness. Rest in me, and allow me to continue my work. For what I heal will be healed at the roots. What I rebuild will stand firm in grace, and what I restore within you will become testimony that no ashes are too cold for my breath to ignite with new life. Beloved child, let your heart hear this deeply. I have never searched within you for a perfection that never stumbles, nor have I placed upon your shoulders the burden of proving yourself worthy of love. I know the dust from which you were formed. I know the moments when your knees weakened, the times when your heart wavered, the nights when you believed you had failed beyond recovery. Yet, I do not measure you by the number of times you fall. I see you through the covenant of my love and through the calling I have placed upon your life. Though the righteous fall 7 times, they rise again, as Proverbs 24:16 reminds you, not because they possess endless strength within themselves, but because my hand lifts them from the ashes. You do not need to build an image of strength before me. Come to me with truth, with trembling places, with wounds not yet fully healed, and allow me to transform those very weaknesses into places where my power may be revealed with gentleness and steadfastness. There have been many days when you tried to shine by your own strength, striving to become good enough, holy enough, strong enough, trustworthy enough, as though light had to come from within yourself. But my child, I did not call you to be your own sun. I called you to become a pure mirror, reflecting my glory. The moon does not generate light on its own. Yet, when it turns toward the sun, it can soften the darkness of an entire night sky. Your life is the same. When you turn toward me, when your heart faces the true source of light, then even in the darkness of this world, others may still see a light that does not belong to you, yet shines through you. And we all, beholding the glory of the Lord as in a mirror, are being transformed into the same image. As 2 Corinthians 3:18 declares, therefore, do not force your soul to create what only I can give. Remain near me, and light will come. Walk with me, and my beauty will gradually appear in the way you love, the way you forgive, the way you rise again, and the way you speak truth with humility. I know the past often tries to call you by old names. It says you are a failure, unworthy, someone who missed too many chances, someone too weak to still be sent forth. But the voice of the past is not the final voice over your life. Accusation may be loud, but it carries no authority greater than the words, I have already spoken over you. There is now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. As Romans 8:31 declares, let those words break the invisible chains, trying to keep you locked inside the room of regret. True repentance is not living forever beneath the shadow of sin, but turning toward the light and allowing grace to teach you how to walk differently. I do not deny what happened, but I have the authority to redeem it. I do not call you by your fall. I call you by the new identity I have given you, loved, cleansed, lifted up, anointed, and sent forth. Remember Moses, beloved child. He once fled from Egypt, carrying the weight of a painful past, living in the wilderness like someone cast outside the greater story of his people. If humanity had written the final chapter for Moses, they might have said, he was simply a man who failed, who lost his opportunity, who left the palace behind and buried his life among sheep in the desert. But I met him at the bush that burned, yet was not consumed. I did not call him by his old failure. I called him by his mission. Go, I am sending you to Pharaoh. Moses said he could not speak well, that he was not capable, not worthy enough. Yet I did not ask whether he was confident in himself. I simply declared, I will be with you. As Exodus 3:12 reveals, do you see? My sending does not rest upon the perfection of the one being called, but upon the presence of the one who calls. If I could use a trembling man to lead a people out of slavery, I can also use you, even while you are still learning how to stand firmly in grace. Therefore, lift up your head, but do not lift it in pride. Lift it as one whose chains have just been removed, whose dignity has been restored, and who has heard the voice of the Father calling them home again. Humility is not bowing beneath shame. Humility is knowing that every good thing within you comes from me, and then courageously walking in what I have entrusted to you. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. As Isaiah 60:1 declares, this is not an invitation to exalt yourself, but my call for you to step out of the darkness of self-contempt, out of the hiding place of fear, out of the old verdicts you continue reading over your own heart. You are no longer the outcast, standing outside the door. You are my child. You are no longer merely someone trying to survive pain. You are someone being prepared to carry life into other places. As peace begins to settle gently within your heart, I desire to lead you deeper beyond the place of merely wanting comfort for yourself. There is a depth where blessing does not only fill your cup, but causes it to overflow. There is a place in my presence where you not only receive answers, but become my answer for someone else, crying out in the night. I healed you not so that you would forever cling to healing as a private possession, but so that through you others might realize that I still touch broken souls. I will bless you, and you will be a blessing. As Genesis 12:2 was spoken to Abraham, those words also carry the rhythm of my heart toward you. I give to you not merely so you may be filled, but so that the river of grace flowing through you may reach the dry lands around you. Do not be surprised if in this new season I place before you small yet holy opportunities, a person needing to be heard, a word that must be spoken gently, an unseen act of service, a doorway for you to testify not through boasting, but through gratitude. These things may appear ordinary, but in my hands the ordinary can become holy. A timely word of encouragement can keep a soul from giving up. A sincere act of forgiveness can break years of bitterness. A life that reflects my light can guide someone else back toward the source of light. Ephesians 3:20 reminds you that I am able to do immeasurably more than all you ask or imagine. Yet that abundance is not only about the blessings you receive, but also about what I can accomplish through a surrendered soul. Therefore, walk forward, beloved child, strong yet gentle, courageous yet humble, shining yet never grasping for glory. Leave the past beneath the cross, where grace has already spoken the final word. Let accusation fall silent before my voice calling you beloved. Allow the Holy Spirit to lead you into a new rhythm of life, where every breath becomes trust, every action becomes an offering, and every word becomes a ray of light, reflecting the Father's heart. You do not need to generate light by your own strength. Simply remain near me. Keep turning toward me. Keep allowing me to shine through the parts already healed, and even through the parts still being healed. Then you will witness this wonder. My light within you will not only raise you up, but will also cause many others to believe that they too can rise again. And when blessing overflows from your life, the world will not see your perfection. They will see me, the one who still chooses, still anoints, still sends forth, and still turns jars of clay into vessels carrying eternal glory.